This is ABTV, Animal Bites Television.
Take a look at this guy right here. This is a Burmese python, but it's a mutation of Burmese python called a patternless green. In the early stages of Burmese python mutations, this was one of the first of the ones, right after the albinos. And actually, back then, they were just called green Burmese pythons. But of course, when you started breeding them into albinos and other things, it was a little weird to say it's an albino green Burmese python when the animal was yellow or orange, right? So now they just really call them patternless. And I tell you what, albino Burmese pythons, for some reason, sometimes can be a little cantankerous as babies. For whatever reason, the patternless Burmese pythons have always been super, super docile. And this is just an amazingly beautiful animal. I'm actually at the Scott Smith All Animal Expo in Wheaton, Illinois, just cruising around, having a good time looking at some awesome animals like this. It's going to be an awesome day. My name is Brian Barczyk. I'm no zoologist, just a guy with a passion for animals. And that passion often takes me on animal adventures around the world. This week, I'm at the Scott Smith All Animal Expo outside of Chicago, Illinois. You're watching Snake Bites. This is an awesome animal right here. It's a Colombian common boa constrictor, and this happens to be one of the most common snakes in the pet trade for many, many years. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this show is that there's a lot of rescues here, and I love the idea of reptile rescues because obviously when someone is in over their head and maybe not caring for an animal properly, the rescue can come in and really either take care of the animal or place it somewhere else. But the message that you have to get across with these rescues is the fact that an animal like a boa constrictor, it's not a huge animal, but for some people it's a little bit too large. So they get them as cute little babies, and then when they get older and they get to a size like this that's maybe like 15 pounds, probably 6.5 foot, you know, now all of a sudden you can't take care of them right and you don't know what to do with them and they have to be rescued out. So think about that. I always talk about education. Before you get an animal, make sure that you understand it's going to one day grow into something like this. You got to make sure that you can provide for that animal its entire life, because we don't want to see these animals neglected whatsoever. So it's great to see reptile rescues, but hey, if you do the right research, you won't have to worry about them in the future. Now this is a cool snake. So I'm here with Aaron in this amazing macaw, and I'll be honest with you, Aaron, I don't know a whole lot about it, so I'm going to lean on you for a little bit of information. But first off, tell me a little bit about what you're doing with these animals.
Well, we take in animals from all over, anything that doesn't require a license. So we are exotic rescues in need. We're based out of Cuba. So we take in birds, bunnies, lizards, snakes, pretty much whatever anybody has in captivity.
Well, that's a great thing. And tell me a little bit about this guy right here. Now, this is a green wing macaw?
It's a green wing. His name is Tiago. He's about 15 years old.
Wow.
And I've had him for a couple of years, and he's my ambassador bird. So he goes around with the rescue with me. We do educational shows for kids just to kind of educate them on their care, their psychological well-being, that sort of thing. So to make sure that they have a really good life in captivity.
Yeah, and 15 years old, I mean, he's just a little guy. He's going to live about another...
He's a teenager.
Yeah, teenage. So what's he like? What's it like living with a bird? And what's the message you want to people that might be thinking about getting a macaw or a big bird like this?
Honestly, it's like living with a 2-year-old for the rest of your life. So what I tell people is that be prepared that these guys live a long time. I mean, they can live, 80 years in captivity if they're cared for well. So you got to be prepared to have them for life.
Yeah.
And honestly, like having a 2-year-old for the rest of your life.
They're pretty loud, they're pretty messy, but they are truly amazing animals. So if you ever have the ability to take care of something like that, it's an amazing companion for sure. But don't ever get something thinking that it's not going to be a lot of work and you're going to have a lot of dedication, because we never want to see birds like this that potentially end up in a position where we have to find someone like Aaron. Thankfully, there are people like you out there that are willing to take these animals in, but I tell you, that is a cool animal.
This is Chewy here. Brian had to take a break. His head's getting too big. So I'm at Scott Smith Wheaton Reptile Show. I think I'm in Wheaton, I don't know. But this is a beautiful animal. I'm gonna try to act like Brian. This is an Amazon tree boa. I've been in love with these since I was a kid. Look at the beautiful pattern, and my business was built around it, and my name's Brian, and I just love snakes. And let me get this off my mic. Oh. So, to refresh your memory, this is the Amazon tree bowl. They are from the Amazons, and they live in trees. And I'm teaching a lot at the reptile show. We're gonna go see some different animals, maybe some skunks, some different snakes, maybe some spiders. I like spiders, but Amazon tree bowl.
Hey Ryan.
How are you, man?
Good, how about you? I've been watching your show forever, and actually since watching your show, I've won Grand Champion for my bearded dragon,
Really?
and I've won Grand Champion at state for animal science.
That is awesome. So what's your plan? I mean, when you get older, do you want to go into the animal world
I
or
want to go into biology.
biology? What are you thinking about there?
A lot of the fish stuff, I keep
Okay.
coral reef, and also I breed my leopard geckos and stuff,
Nice.
so herpetology as well is cool.
That's awesome. Well, that's good, man. What do you got in the box, man?
I have a little emerine.
Oh, little
leopard gecko.
emerine. Yeah, it's nice, huh? Little female?
Yeah, a little female.
Nice.
And pet radar, I believe.
Okay, cool.
And I'm actually the president of my local 4-H reptile club.
That is awesome, man. You are
Yeah.
like, you're killing it, man. That's awesome,
Thank you.
man. Well, I tell you what, it's great meeting you. I'm going to just I'll just put this in my pocket.
yeah.
No, I'll put this back for you. Well, listen, thank you so much for everything. Keep it up and stay in touch. If I can help you with anything, man, I want to help you, all right?
Thank you so
All right,
much.
thanks, Aaron.
Have a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Take care, man. I know I keep saying it, but it's so awesome that a reptile show like this is really about education as well. So there's tons of booths that are here not to sell you a reptile, but to teach you about reptiles. So there's a bunch of really amazing animal ambassadors like this Mexican Black King. And you guys know that these solid black snakes like this are amazing, and I love them to death. This one is actually named Michonne after The Walking Dead, which I think is really cool. And it's just a beautiful girl, about 5 years old, and it's a great animal to show kids. And look at how tame it is. Now, this is the type of animal you want a kid to have its first experience with, so that it just thinks that reptiles are amazing. Again, I'm having such a blast, not only seeing cool animals for sale, but also seeing animals that are touching people's lives.
Okay, this is Chewy again at the All Animal Expo. Brian made me do the spider, which of course is a beautiful red meat. Now, this is my favorite spider, but Brian won't hold them, so that's why I have to do it. But I'm better on film. I talk better. He babbles a lot. This is better, trust me. Short and simple. Mexican red meat.
Ever since I started keeping reptiles when I was young, one of my favorite monitor lizards were Savannah Monitors. It's not so much that I thought they were the coolest monitor in the world. I guess they were just the most available. But the one thing that I really loved about them was the fact that most of them were puppy dog tame. I love all monitor lizards, and especially the big iguanas from Australia are amazing. But these Savannah Monitors from West Africa are truly great pets. It's kind of like a great entry if you want a big monitor lizard, but you don't want something that's going to be impossible to care for. This happens to be an almost year-old Savannah Monitor named Jojo, and again, it's just a beautifully puppy dog tame animal. And again, the Savannah Monitors are really cool because oftentimes they're not high energy, they don't run around, they rarely bite, and they're really easy to take care of. But you do have to have a relatively large cage, a really good heat source, and you're going to have a lot of food because these things eat a lot. You got to remember, Jojo was probably about this big a year ago, and look at how big she is now, and she's probably only about halfway grown. This is an amazing animal right here. It's a black and white Argentine Tegu, believe it or not, named Bubbles. That's right. But the thing that's really cool about Bubbles here is the fact that Argentine Tegus are super tame and oftentimes can free range houses. That's right, Bubbles just has the run of the entire house. They have a little kennel set up that has basking lights and heating pads that it can go in and warm up. Then it runs around, does whatever, and this is the greatest part. Believe it or not, it goes into the bathroom area to do its business. That's right, it's actually potty trained. And I've seen a bunch of Tegus just like this, where they just kind of run around. As a matter of fact, MacGyver the Lizard happens to be a cool YouTube channel that I watch quite a bit, and it's with a red Argentine Tegu that runs around just like it, just like a puppy dog. I mean, can you imagine having a lizard like Bubbles right here, just as like kind of your pet dog that runs around your house? Tell you what, it's a pretty good attack lizard, I'm willing to bet too, but I tell you, whenever I have a chance to handle a cool animal like this, I just am totally geeking out.
Okay, animal number 3, my favorite of all. Furry, fuzzy, non-biting. This is the best. I'm gonna carry him around the whole show. The segment's gonna be short, so I'm going. But this is Mr. Magoo, the skunk. And he doesn't stink. He really doesn't.
Absolutely one of my favorite turtles is right here. This is actually a clown or a concentric terrapin. I just think that they're one of the most gorgeously marked animals. Unfortunately, these guys are heavily protected now, and like so many turtles, the reason they're protected was the food trade. They were just being collected and killed by tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands, and now the populations have dwindled to almost nothing. When it comes to the terrapins like this, believe it or not, you're only allowed to own 2 of these if you're bordering the states that border the oceans. And these guys have a pretty wide range where they're endemic to, but unfortunately, again, you can only own 2 of them and you cannot wild collect them whatsoever. But if you happen to be outside of the border states, you can actually buy these, but you can't transport them across state line because they fall under the Lacey Act. So there's a lot of rules and regulations with these guys, not to mention, of course, you can't buy them under 4 inches. So there's all kinds of things, but these things are absolutely awesome and completely gorgeous. Take a look at that little face right there. I love going to reptile shows and seeing animals that you don't see very often, and this would certainly fall into that category. This is a Cuban boa. It's actually in the same genus as the Brazilian rainbow boas, but the Cuban boas get quite large. I used to work with these years ago, and females can sometimes get up to 7 or 8 feet in length, but they're born almost this size. This is basically a baby Cuban boa. So a rainbow boa would come out maybe a quarter of this size. So these guys have really big babies, typically anywhere from maybe 10 to 12 babies, every now and then a few more, but just because they're so large, they don't have a huge amount of babies like Brazilian rainbows per se, and again, they get really large. Now, unfortunately, some Cuban boas can be a little bit feisty. This guy seems to be okay right now, but one of the things that Cuban boas are definitely known for is they must the heck out of you when you handle them, so it stinks like you can't believe. This guy's doing pretty good right now, but I'm thinking that when it gets warmed up, you're gonna have a little bit of a problem, but it's just cool to see a Cuban boa. Again, going to reptile shows, you never know what you're gonna see. This was a treat.
Look at this little Sphinx kid. I'm not even afraid of this, and I'm afraid of everything. What's his name?
Doesn't have a name yet.
Oh, Chewy's a great name. I'd go with Chewy. Is it a male or female? Oh, Chewy's perfect. Okay, meet Chewy, the Sphinx kid.
Oh, he's Chewy.
See?
Take a look at this animal here. This is a green iguana named Magoo, and it's going to be 17 years old. Now, iguanas can be amazing animals, and certainly something like Magoo here is just breathtaking. It's like a little dinosaur. But the problem is that a lot of iguanas aren't like Magoo and aren't quite as tame and beautifully loving as this animal. So if you ever want to get an iguana when they're a baby and they look so adorable, oftentimes think about it. One day it's going to grow up to be the size of Magoo, and sometimes they're not going to be all that docile. So it's not a pet for everyone. That doesn't mean that they can't make great pets, because Magoo is proof of how amazing they can be. But just really think about it. They need a lot of space, a lot of dedication. And I'm not trying to talk you out of it. What I'm trying to say is do a tremendous amount of research, and remember that you're going to have to put a lot of time and energy in keeping a green iguana as tame as Magoo is here. But if you do it, holy cow, there's not much cooler animals out there than holding a beautiful prehistoric animal like Magoo. Tell you what, guys, this has been an amazing day. Meeting so many great people, seeing such cool animals. I had a great time. And as always, you know what? I was Facebooking and tweeting my way through it. So make sure to follow me over at SnakeBytesTV and on Instagram at SnakeBytes.tv. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.
Hi, I'm Peter Birch, an Aussie bloke who loves wildlife. My respect for nature started when I was a young boy in rural New South Wales. Since then, it's exploded into an obsession. New episodes every Thursday only on Animal Bites TV.